Let me enthusiastically welcome our speaker and my friend, Jill.
Deja vu, all over again. Gosh. Well, hi, my name is Jill, and I am an alcoholic. I'm honored to be up here tonight. I enjoy speaking to share my experience, strength, and hope with people who are willing to find out what that's all about. And public speaking is pretty scary, but I was given wise counsel the last time I told my story, and it instantly put me to ease. So I'm going to apply it tonight. He said, Mr. Bennett, Mike Bennett, he said, ignore the old timers. They've heard it all. Just talk to the newcomers to let them know how it works. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm talking to all the newcomers out there and those of you still sitting on your hands, white-knuckling it, and especially the young people just coming into the program. I'm excited for you, seriously. You have so much good life ahead of you, so many memories to make, and so much fun to be had, sober. I'm here to tell you all, AA does work. It's incredible. You know, I love Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob. They had the incredible wherewithal to create a program of recovery that has helped millions of people around the world since 1935. That's 88 years, folks. And we're still going strong. Their vision, as a result of their incomprehensible demoralization, has saved marriages, jobs, restored relationships, prevented serious medical issues, even death. It works, folks. How does it work? Everybody now, one day at a time, right? Now, I'll probably use a lot of AA cliches, but they're cliches because they work, and they're right on, and they're true. It is a simple program. It's not easy, but it's simple. Life can be good, even wonderful. You can be totally free of the mental obsession, and I'm here to share how it worked for me. You may wonder, like I did, about why do all these people with so much time keep coming to meetings. It's for you, the newcomers. You're the reason we're here, to share with you our experience, strength, and hope. Of course, we're here to encourage each other to keep coming back and to stay sober. It's kind of our insurance, actually. But you're the guest of honor. I always love when I see young people at meetings. I'm so envious. I didn't get here until I was 45, so I lost a lot of years, a lot of memories, and certainly a lot of brain cells. You have an opportunity to have those years restored, and you can do that starting today. It can be your ticket to freedom, but as you know, you have to be willing. In the big book, it talks about the gift of desperation. It is indeed a gift. I truly became sick and tired of being sick and tired. I started my drinking career, like many others, in junior high, sneaking wine from the refrigerator, and then high school, having friends buy bottles at the liquor store. For those of you in my age bracket, Boone's Farm apple wine was the drink of choice. That was nothing too serious. We'd go out with friends on the weekends at the park. At parties, we could usually find liquor that someone brought, or steal the liquor from the cabinets of our friends' parents. Now that was the good stuff. I continued during college. Again, nothing too crazy. Then after graduation, I was kicked out of the house. I was 21, and my mom was given an ultimatum by her boyfriend. He told her either she goes or I'm leaving. Well, that was okay. I didn't like him anyway. And it was certainly time to get out on my own. It was the bad news at the time, but in between my screaming, I suddenly remembered, wait, oh my God, I can drink anytime I want now. So that was the key to freedom for me, to be able to drink anytime I want. I got an apartment and it took off from there. Then on a dare from my sister, I applied for a job and got hired on with Playboy Clubs International to help open the Detroit Playboy Club. But by the way, being a bunny is just a glorified waitress job. But oh, what a fun job it was. How could it not be when the whole mission statement of the company was built around sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, and copious amounts of alcohol. It had lots of benefits, like open private bar parties and celebrity events. I once got a $100 tip from, oh gosh, what's his name? No, not you. Oh, I'll think of his name. It'll come to me. Now things started to really get serious. I was now on my own. I called it being free, white, and 21, and the world was my oyster. Man, life was good. Not drinking every day, but when I did, I drank a lot. I remember driving home from a boyfriend's house one night, over 20 miles, and waking up the next day, wondering how I got home and where the heck was my car. And then there were those horrible moments where you wake up, look over and wonder, my God, who are you? Praying you can find your keys and your clothes. It was terrible. Such humiliation and self-loathing. It was then when I realized I was a blackout drinker. After a few years, I was chosen with 5 other gals to train bunnies in the club in Tokyo, Japan. So now I'm out of the country and off the rails, drinking alcoholically, and nobody to condemn my behavior. Talk about a mess. I'm not sure how, but I always made it to work. We were there for 4 months, and then our job was finished. Now it was 1972, and I'm back in the country. The Detroit club has closed, and after a few years working at Ford Motor Company, I got bored with the work, so I contacted the head bunny mother in Chicago and said, give me a job, please, anywhere. I'll transfer anywhere and do anything. I'll even wash dishes, but I want back in that life. Long story short, within a few months, I packed up my life and moved to Arizona to work at the Phoenix Club on Central Avenue as a bunny mother and day manager. So now I'm in management and had the keys to the liquor cabinet. It was a dream job. I often volunteered as bartender for private parties to give the bartenders the night off. It was so good of me to do that. It was on one of those nights that I got my one and only DUI. It was after a staff Christmas party. On my drive home, I was stopped by a female police officer, and when she found out where I was coming from, she just smiled. She couldn't wait to take me in and book me. The good news, bad news is that I knew an attorney who was a regular at the club, and he got me off with a slap on the hand and probation. That was unfortunate because I think it may have slowed me down a little bit had I been tossed in jail for a time, but things were really different then. The Phoenix Club closed in 1983, and things slowed down a bit for years. Then I met my husband through mutual friends, and after 4 months, we got married. He became my drinking partner, where our life evolved into every weekend, every holiday, anniversary, birthday, vacations. They were big drinking days. For years, things were good and fairly controlled, until they weren't. Pretty soon a Tuesday became a holiday, and the slippery slope downward began. We started the daily thing. I remember the only fights we had was over that last glass of wine in the bottle. I could not drink. If I ran out of something for dinner, I'd make an excuse to go to the store and just happen to pick up more wine. I had done the newspaper, "Are you an alcoholic?" tests, and they constantly pointed to, oh yes, absolutely. But I was in denial, not wanting to be an alcoholic, just ignoring my gut feelings and all those test results. I actually went to a counselor once and I said, I think I'm an alcoholic. I need to have 2 glasses of wine every night at least. And he said, funny, so do I. I don't think you have a problem. So I was off and running again. Life was just rolling along. Heck, I was even running marathons in my 30s while in my addiction. I was certainly a functioning alcoholic, but an alcoholic nonetheless. Costco, now there brings back some bad memories. We started buying cases because it was wonderful wine at a great price. After a while, we'd feel the need to go to a different cashier lines because once I bought a case and the cashier said, so you're having a party, eh? No, it was all for me. I was stunned and embarrassed. I just knew that all the cashiers just knew I was an alcoholic. So every trip we made to Costco, we'd pick up a different line and a different cashier. which made me sick because I was totally aware of the bizarre behavior, but once again just chose to ignore it. I had my grandkids over often for movie and pizza sleepover, and one day they asked me, "Grandma, how come you keep getting up and going into the pantry?" They didn't know my open bottle of wine was tucked inside, and I was there every 10, 15 minutes. The lying, the hiding of the bottles, the deception and feeling sick physically, emotionally, spiritually, year after year. I was a mess, and I saw no way out. You talk about incomprehensible demoralization. I couldn't imagine life without alcohol. I couldn't imagine life being fun anymore. That was the reason why I couldn't quit. My whole life was wrapped around events with alcohol that were fun. I had been a Christian for years at this point and often prayed for relief from this bondage, but I think God knew that I wasn't done yet. I was praying often to the porcelain God and not with any sincerity. He knew. I kept my faith and my drinking compartmentalized, hoping that he wasn't watching the disaster I had become. I was now working for the pastor at my church as his assistant. Maybe going to work for him subconsciously felt like it might be the answer to my problem, but it wasn't. Then one fateful weekend, we went to Flagstaff for a church Valentine's Day event. A dinner dance, speaker, a reason to dress up. We brought what now seems to be a suitcase of wine for a 36-hour period event. We drank before, during, and after each event. The whole time I was constantly paranoid, knowing that everybody knew I was a raging alcoholic. Even though nothing extreme or embarrassing happened, it was all in my mind. But oh, the humiliation that night and the emotional turmoil. I had finally become seriously sick and tired of being sick and tired. I felt that God had finally got me by the throat and said, "You are wasting your life. You can be so much more." It was like the burning bush spiritual experience they talk about. When I got home, I got on my knees and finally prayed to God with everything I had to remove the obsession. You'll think this is really sick, but even after that prayer, I went to the store, bought 4 bottles of wine with the intention that this is finally it. One last hurrah, and I drank till I passed out. And for some beautiful and miraculous reason, the next morning, the light bulb finally went on. God had finally answered my prayer. I finally surrendered to my powerlessness. I decided the next day to attend an AA meeting to see how it felt, because by this time I knew that's where I belonged. My first AA meeting was scary, but it also felt like everyone's share had a little bit of me in it. They were incredibly welcoming and friendly, made me feel like I had found people who understood me and this disease. They gave me a big book and the 12 and 12, and I walked away with a glimmer of hope. As I started reading, I saw myself on every page, which gave me absolute confirmation. I truly felt like I was home. I had truly found my people. The first few years, I white-knuckled it through meetings. I didn't get a sponsor. I didn't do the steps, which, looking back, was such a bad decision, but at the time, I didn't want to take too much time away from my family and my job, which was still working for the church, surprisingly. Maybe I didn't think I was worth it. And I wasn't really out of the closet, so to speak, but just happy to be sober. Then we moved to Prescott. I found out where some good meetings were and went to a few. I met with some really great people, some of whom I still see today and some I don't. I got a sponsor and I did the steps. Some of you may know Bob and Anita P. It was Anita, who's no longer with us. She was my sponsor. Bob has died last year also, or a couple of years ago. Then, for a reason I can't recall, I took a break from meetings for a few years. I was now, again, working for my church up here, and life seemed to be fairly good, and I was happy. But I still felt like I was missing something. I had no real peace, and I still couldn't walk down the wine aisle. It gave me the willies. We'd go out for anniversaries or birthdays, and I'd see everyone around me drinking. And my go-to fix was simply excuse myself and make a call to another alcoholic that I had in my contact list, and that seemed to work. I felt relief for the moment. I used to hear, and I'm still hearing today, that those who relapse usually do because they become complacent about their program and stop going to meetings. But I ignored that for a while and just kind of sat on my hands. Then my church, Heights Church, began a wonderful new recovery program called Elements, a faith-based AA meeting. After finding out that I was in recovery, the associate pastor asked me to be part of it, starting a women's Bible study for women in recovery. And maybe it was just another one of God's 2x4s, because then I felt a strong desire to just dive back in with both feet, jump in the middle of the herd, as they say. By this time, I had a few years under my belt, and I felt what would be a win-win situation is to now help others, to share my experience, strength, and hope that AA affords everyone. So I came screaming out of the closet and shared everywhere I could about the joys of sobriety, finding other gals who struggled and inviting them to come along and join us. About 5 other ladies and myself led Bible studies, and even though it was a Bible study, I would encourage the gals to find a higher power that worked for them. I knew that that would be the only way that this would work. I knew what worked for me, and that is my God at my side every moment in this journey called life. He helps me make decisions daily and can calm me down when I'm stressed, as long as I stay in close contact with him. I found instantly that service work, helping another alcoholic, helps keep me sober. I don't want to find out if I have another recovery in me. I like my life now. I'm as healthy as I've ever been. I'm now doing a number of AA meetings every week, and I feel at home at every one. I love all meetings. I hear something at every meeting I can take away and use. Tools for my tool belt, as they say. Things to help me deal with life on life's terms. The wisdom in these rooms is invaluable. I also facilitate a meeting on Thursdays noon, and I think when everybody shows up, I am not kidding you, there are over 1,000 years of sobriety. It's incredible. No kidding. Think about that. We just keep coming back. It's for you, the newcomers, to give you hope, to show you that it does really work. I enjoy sponsoring. I've sponsored 18 ladies in the last 6 years. Some have continued on the path of sobriety. Sadly, many have not. I used to take it personal, but now I don't. I did my best, and I figure they'll get here when they're ready. I currently sponsor only one gal. Hopefully she'll get to that beautiful place of total surrender and become happy, joyous, and free. My desire is to simply pay it forward to give these gals a chance at healthy living and a better life. One thing I share with these gals I sponsor is that I still can't say that I'll never, ever have another drink. It's just too painful. But I can say I won't drink today because it's always today. It just makes it more palatable. So I've had cancer 4 times. I've lost my whole family, both parents, sister, brother. I've lost a friend to suicide and even lost a sweet little sponsee to this insidious disease. I've even gotten fired from a job. But I've dealt with all of these events sober. And you can too. You just need to be willing to take that first step, which by being here, you have already. Total surrender is required. Trust me, there's nothing that can happen that a drink will make better. But don't white knuckle this program like I did. Dive in with both feet. Get to a ton of meetings. Find a higher power that works for you. Meet some new lifelong friends. And that usually means getting rid of the old ones. There's incredible camaraderie in these rooms, as most of you know. Then get a sponsor and do the steps. Once you get a little more time, start to reach out your hand, do service work, and help others. That's my ticket to continuing sobriety. I heard in these rooms that one time something that really resonated with me. A wise man in the program, Mike Bennett, said that his drinking used to be magical for him, and now his recovery is his magic. Isn't that great? I love that line. I firmly believe that, and you can too if you just choose to believe that AA works and become willing to take the first step into the light with the help of your higher power. As you submerge yourself into AA and the steps, if you don't have a higher power, you will find one. I read this in a devotional today, and I think it was God's timing for me that I might read it to you. So now I ask you to think of your higher power, whatever or whoever that is, and imagine him or her sharing this little love note with you. Maybe you can close your eyes if you'd like. Seek me with your whole being. I desire to be found by you, and I orchestrate the events of your life with that purpose in mind. When things go well and you are blessed, you can feel me smiling on you. When you encounter rough patches along your life journey, trust that my light is still shining upon you. My reasons for allowing these adversities may be shrouded in mystery, but my continual presence with you is an absolute promise. Seek me in good times, seek me in hard times. You will find me watching over you at all times. Wow, isn't that comforting? So establish and nurture that relationship with your higher power and get ready for the ride of your life. Happy, joyous, and free, that's the ultimate goal. So my new addiction is Hostess mini donuts. After every morning workout, I put on the coffee and get out a bag of mini donuts, and I have 2 every morning, every day. Or if I'm driving by Bosa, I'll stop. Now, yes, I'm going to have to work on that one next. So in closing, my last day of drinking was February 16, 1999. Since then, my life has never been so good, and I've never had so much fun, seriously, because now I remember it all. My husband is a normie, and he's incredibly supportive of my program, service work, and sponsoring. You can have a great life too. Just make a decision to be willing to surrender completely. Take that first step and do the work. Today, I don't have to go to meetings. Today, I love to go to meetings. Just remember, it's a simple program. Not easy, but simple. Just make the decision and keep coming back. You can do this just for today, one day at a time. Thank you, and God bless you all.